YouTube, Twitch. All right, now we're going to be live. Okay. My process is a little bit complicated, and I'm on the learning curve here. Okay. Twitch says I'm live. My process is a little bit complicated. There we go. I'm on the learning curve here. All right. Okay. Now, let's test the chat. Now I have voice chat in my headphones here, so hopefully I'm testing that as well. Okay, so let's do a quick tour of the streaming setup here. So I've got Twitch on my phone just to be sure that I can read text, read chat. This is a watertight box that I've built, and this is my microphone receiver. And then on my chest here, I have the sending unit. Down inside the box here is what's called a YOLO Live YOLO Box Ultra. YOLO Live is the company. This is a YOLO Box Ultra, and it's a switching device. It's where my audio gets mixed. See, I can switch scenes, like I can go to just the dog cam, or I can go to just the 360 cam, or what I'm going to stream with today is a dual for both. And you can see the record button is blinking, so I'm recording this as well. So I'm recording 3 different channels, one for each camera, plus the combined chat, or excuse me, the combined stream going out. And then over here, I've got a IRL Unlimited backpack that's got a live view solo. It's got a battery. It's got the Sony 3000 camera, that's the dog cam. And then down inside of this pocket, it's got 4 cellular modems. And it's a bonding device that combines the signal of all 4 modems. And each modem is a different account. One's with AT&T, 2 are with Verizon, and one's with T-Mobile. So wherever I'm at, it's combining all 4. Plus, it's also hooked to my Wi-Fi. So it's really sending this broadcast out on 5 different services. So let's get started here. This is my what do you call it? Forge. Lost the name. Okay, so let's start out by watering the garden, and we'll talk about the systems I have here for reservoirs and just water containment. So I have 6 of these 55-gallon drums that I built. Each one's got 49 grow slots. Now, of course, we're at the end of the year now, so a lot of what I started with in the spring is dead and gone. But there's a nice bee right there. This is a lot of what you're seeing here is Malabar spinach, and it's going to seed. Most of it's still edible, and I eat some every day just about. It's a great shade plant as well. So these pots, I've got 4 of these clay pots, and each one of them has a little reservoir underneath there. It really doesn't do a whole lot, but it does retain a little bit of water that runs through. These barrels, each one of them has I have a drain hole in the bottom that I can plug or keep on. And what I'll typically do is take and recycle the water all the time. Down here in Houston, ants are a real problem. They're for plants, for growing vegetables. I don't know if you saw some. There was some on the side of this barrel right here, and I do apply ant poison because these are the red ants, not red ants, but fire ants. And man, when you step in a fire ant hill, it is really bad. They bite like you wouldn't believe. So each one of these little troughs here, I'm going to shut the water off for a second. Each one of these little troughs, I build those by first cutting a slot with a little reciprocating saw, and then I take a torch and I heat this all up, and then I've formed just a 2x4 with an angle on, like a wedge on it, and I drive those in while it's hot, and then I have 4 pieces of 2x4 that I build these with. So then I leave that 2x4 in while it's cooling, and then I move on to the next. This is Checkers. He got cut the other day and had to get some stitches. So that's why he's got the cone. So each one of these 4 pots has a little water reservoir underneath. Up here, I don't know if you can see it very well, I'll get better shots of it. I have these little pots that I built that look like a tea kettle, and those are mostly growing Malabar spinach. A lot of this Malabar spinach on the top is coming from those little teapots. And the teapot, you can see right here, there's a Brussels sprout there that was going bad in the refrigerator. I use the teapot, what's that called? The pour spout of the teapot is where I fill with garden waste. So that's how I feed these pots. And then each pot, I'm not sure if you can see that one, each pot has a hole drilled in it about 3 inches up from the bottom. So that becomes the water reservoir. There's always about 3 inches of wet soil down in the bottom. And then you can see this one's draining right now. I put too much water in it, so it's coming out of the hole, the drain hole, and it's dripping down, and it's going down into this container here. And these containers, I have 3 of them. Well, first of all, my daughter Mary and I built this wagon cart. It's like a covered wagon. It's got the mesh, the cattle panel going up over the top. But down inside of these, if you can see the white down there, that's a plastic drain pan for a washer. Some of them are for water heaters, but these happen to be for a washer. And that gives me about a 1-inch water reservoir in the bottom. So every time it rains, that fills up an inch. This bucket, these 3 buckets that are in here, each one of them has a water reservoir in the bottom that's built with, or made with, 4-inch tubing. I'm going to just take a walk over and make sure that my stream is working. Yep, it is. So each one of these 3 buckets has a 3-inch water reservoir in the bottom, and I've got 4-inch drain pipe down and underneath there that creates like an air gap, and then the cloth goes over the top of the tubes, the 3 or 4-inch tubes that are down in the bottom, and that keeps the soil out of the water reservoir. And then each one of them's got a hole drilled 3 inches up from the bottom, so again I got a 3-inch water reservoir in there all the time. I can't overwater it. Can't overwater these, can't overwater the tea-spot pots, because the drain holes drain out the excess water, but yet there's always 3 inches of water in the bottom unless they completely dry up. Now, down inside of the washer pans that are down on the bottom here, I have grow bags. Each one of them has 4 grow bags, and those are, porous, so every time that fills up with water down there, those water the plants from the bottom up. And if I overfill this, it fills the tub down below, and then it wicks up into the grow bags. So I always put a little bit of water down in the bottom, spray it here, and then fill the 3-inch gap down inside using these tubes. These tubes go right down into the water reservoir. Now, this Malabar spinach, it's late in the year, so a lot of the leaves are getting a little bit nasty, but this is good eating raw. Oops. It's good steamed. It's good added to any kind of a thing you would normally add spinach to. Good stuff. It's a great shade plant. It's also a good chop and drop plant. In other words, I'll come through here. Let's see if I can free up a hand. Okay, let me pull this a little bit further and then put that here. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll come through here and I just pull off all the bad leaves and I use them as mulch. And these Malabar spinach leaves are just loaded with water. They're just awesome. So when you're using it as a chop and drop mulch, they're adding moisture to the soil as well as they're rotting, I guess. So you'll see quite a bit of quite a bit of okra. I plant stuff down here. It's hard to get things to grow down here in Houston. It's either you get 3 or 4 frosts every winter. In the summer, it's so hot that it just fries the plants. This year, I really was successful in keeping a lot of my plants alive through the summer. Partially because I was retired and able to water every day. But the other reason is I had a really good Malabar spinach crop, which provided a lot of good shade. Some of the plants I planted in the spring are already done and gone. Like, I plant a lot of squash. I plant spaghetti squash and rampant squash, which is an Italian squash. My hose is stuck. That only happens about 5 times a day. Probably a better way of doing this, but okay. See if I can keep from spraying my streaming equipment. I have some other pots that I designed. When I design a pot, I always try to have a water reservoir and also a way to feed it compost. Headset's getting stuck in the plants here. So come on. Next hose I buy will be a kink-free hose, for sure. So, I have these on cement blocks. At another house, I built everything mobile because we've moved 4 times since we've been down here in Houston in 11 years. And this is a rental house, primarily because our daughter's just turned 18. We moved into this house about 1.5 years ago. And, you know, once she's off on her own, We're not trying to push her out or anything, but once she's off on her own, you know, then we have a little bit more flexibility on what kind of house we might want, where we want to live. My wife and I are kind of gypsies anyway. We came down here from Michigan 11 years ago. So that's why I designed everything to be mobile. This is my composting system here. I always give that a little spray as well. This bin here is almost ready. This is my last one. This is where I take the finished compost out. And so what I do, this is over to the right here, is my freshest bin. I just filled this up about a week ago from cutting the grass. So when this one's full, well, more like when this one is, I just keep moving it over. Like this bin, I'll take and flip it over and put it on upside down inside of this bin, and I just keep moving it until I get to the finished bin. Now, in these pots, I had 6 persimmon trees. One died in the center here that I lost this summer. That's one of the best trees I've ever grown down here that can handle the sun, but even that gets too hot. The sun in the summer gets too hot for them also. And so I planted the Malabar spinach, a lot of that, down in these grow bags that are on top of the plant, the tree. And so that Malabar spinach helps to, you know, shade the tree during the summer. But this one over here was a young tree. It wasn't I have a hard time finding persimmons down here. I travel all over the place to get them, to get these 6 that I have. Okay, so the watering system in these tree planters is similar to my other concepts. Down inside of these planters, I have a water reservoir built from 4-inch tubes again, and then I put the fabric on top of the tubes, which creates a void, an air gap, and allows me to have a water reservoir that's about 3 inches deep in the bottom of these pots as well. And then I have a hole drilled so that you can't overwater them. So, like this one over here, you can see the water on the ground. I know that my reservoir is full when the water starts running out of the side of these pots. When it gets to that 3-inch hole, then my reservoir is full. So this one, we got no water coming out yet on the ground. I watered these yesterday, so it's probably not going to take much to fill them. Oh, there it is. See, now it's running out right there. So this one's full. So I'm not wasting very much water, which is kind of a goal of mine. It's not the highest priority. My highest priority is watering the plants, keeping a water reservoir so that the plants have water. I can probably go, once I fill this 3-inch reservoir in each one of these pots, if it's hot Houston summer, I can probably go about 3 days without watering. I see the water starting to come out down below there. So this one's full. Now the other thing that these pots do, if you notice I've got this fabric in here, and there's no fabric underneath the grow pots, the cloth pots. So then as I'm filling up those pots, the water's running through them down on top of the soil, and it's also watering the tree. So those pots kind of are a little bit more of a water buffer, not a reservoir, but maybe a water buffer. And, you know, it's almost like a mulch, too. The pot is covering the soil, keeping the sun off of it. Now, my persimmon crop this year wasn't the greatest. Here's some here. There's some on that tree here. Those are chocolate persimmons over there. These, I think, are Fuji's. And you can see the stems of the okra in here, too. And I never cook okra. I always eat it raw. Or I give it to my dog Checkers because he loves it. Or I save it for seed. Like right now I've got quite a bit of mature okra that I'm going to pull off and start drying it for seed. But let's see if I've got any here. Let me finish watering first. Okay, so I didn't do this side of these 55-gallon drums, so we'll catch those on the way back. See, my little planters catch a little bit of water as I'm watering. So even though, and if you notice on this one here, I altered each row of grooves or planters is shifted, and that's so that as the water's running down, it always catches a little trough. Now this one is just loaded with ants. I got to get some more poison in that. I don't use any pesticides other than fire ant poison, and I don't know how to get around that. Ooh. Hades. Oh, it's a squirrel. Okay, so that's the watering routine. Now let's go around. I want to start picking some of this okra. I can't do that one-handed, so I'll come back and do that later. But here's like little Checkers here. He likes okra. There he goes. Now I'll have to clean up a mess after, because he'll bring that in the house and then he'll chew it up. He eats the seeds, and if it's a younger one, he'll eat some of the membrane also. So that's pretty much my garden tour. Right now, all I've got is the okra, the jalapeno peppers, and also the Malabar spinach. Now, one thing we could do with the camera, I think, is I'm going to take some Malabar spinach seeds, because I'm going to be growing Malabar spinach on my boat. I'm going to be taking a 1-year-long adventure trip on my boat on America's Great Loop, and then I'm going to take those. I got one of those planters, the little teapot planters that I made. I can hang those from my boat. These Malabar spinach will, in fact, I didn't plant hardly any this year. I mean, you can see the amount of it I have. I just loaded with it, and it's self-seeding. It's just a cool plant. I see the red vines. I don't have the camera such that anybody can see what I'm doing here. I'm new at this streaming. I got a lot to learn. Like, for example, camera angles and steadiness. I'm recording this as well, and what I plan to do is go back and edit it and turn it into a video, take the live stream and turn it into some shorts and a YouTube video. But again, I'm learning. So this is Hades, the Great Dane here. He's quite a hunter. You see him going after the bee just now? He's about 170 pounds. He's a little bit thin right now, maybe 165, 160. Okay, so I'm going to turn the stream off. I don't see anybody in chat. And to turn the stream off, I use my phone. I could turn it off from the live view solo right here, but I'm going to use the phone because I'm trying to get used to the app. Come on.